Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's that time of year for romance novel readers, and this month I'm doing something a little different. I'm starting a holiday romance mini-pod series for all of the holiday romance novels that are released en masse in November and December, so we'll be discovering the good, the bad, and the ugly of this year's holiday romance selection together. If you need some gentle nudging to wrap those last few gifts, or you're feeling like the Grinch and could use an infusion of extra saccharine holiday spirit, pick up the nearest wonderfully cheesy holiday-themed romance and get reading. I apologize for being a Christmas creep, and I fully realize we have Thanksgiving to go yet. As someone who lives in South Florida, it's a little difficult to get into the holiday spirit. For the record, Floridians really lean into the holidays. I'm pretty sure every homeowner finds a way to cover their home in lights, and driving or running through neighborhoods around the holidays is so fun when you're in Florida. This year there have been a few days recently where I've been able to turn off the AC and open the windows, so stories about the holidays are just what I need to let me forget that it's still 80 degrees outside and no one is encrusting their house in lights yet. I have 12 holiday-themed romances on tap so far, between the ones I get from NetGalley and the ones that I have from reviewing for citybookreview.com. So here's what I got. From NetGalley, I got Journey Back to Christmas by Lee Duncan, The Lady in Red by Kelly Bowen, Winter Wonders by Delia Latham, Once Upon a Christmas Eve by Elizabeth Hoyt, Nothing Short of a Miracle by Carol Henry, and then there's the one that we're going to be talking about today. I am still amassing more holiday-themed romance novels as we speak, but if you know of a holiday romance that is already out or will be out this year, just drop me a line. You can email me, or I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and Goodreads. Or you can just comment down below with your recommendation, because I want to read every holiday romance. It is a compulsion that I cannot deny. So today's romance novel we're going to be talking about is called Kavanagh Christmas by Sarah Robinson. It's one I got from NetGalley, and it comes out on November 7th, 2017. Kavanagh Christmas is a companion book in a saga of romance novels with bare-chested men with chiseled abs on the cover. It's great. This one just happens to be wearing a Santa hat. Ms. Robinson wrote a series of 4 books that detail a rough-and-tumble Irish family in the Woodlawn neighborhood of the Bronx. The Kavanagh family own and operate a mixed martial arts gym called Legends. There is a patriarch and a matriarch of the family, Seamus and Dee, and they have 5 sons, Rory, Kieran, Kane, Quinn, and Jimmy, and 1 adopted daughter, Casey. Romance novel writers will do this sometimes, where they'll have a few characters who are related by blood or not, and develop love stories around these characters. In Ms. Robinson's case, she created a family, the Kavanaghs, and something for them to do, run an MMA gym. And there's something to be said for stories that are written this way. If this is done well, readers will like the first character and then come back to hear the stories of the other characters in subsequent books. I, for one, find romance novels that marry romance and sports endearing, which was what made this novel so appealing. I've read a romance novel where the hero is a hockey player, and there was another one where the hero and heroine bond because they were both Alabama fans. Sports-themed romances are out there, and they're delightful, and they're entirely too rare. As an avid romance novel reader, I would like to see more sports-themed romances. I do think that romance novel characters need more hobbies in general. A lot of what romance novel characters do is eat, fall in love, and care for children. It's always nice to get that extra dimension to a character through a hobby, you know, like sports, or maybe they play D&D or something. Like, come on, come up with hobbies for your romance novel characters. Anyway, I digress. To kick off my holiday romance novel mini-pod series, I think Kavanagh Christmas was kind of a weak selection. Not because it's a weak book, but I could have picked something better. This one was more of a novella, and it was part of a saga, so this is either going to help you discover a new romance novel series, or it's just going to frustrate and confuse you. There were a couple of other things that were sticking points for me when it came to this novel. Overall, I thought this novel could have been stronger if it had a unifying storyline rather than being an extended, loosely Christmas-themed epilogue for characters that already had their own stories. I also thought, for being a group of people with an MMA gym as a commonality, there wasn't much happening with the actual gym. Without getting into too many spoilers, one of the family members in this clan of people faces a health crisis. It might have been interesting if all of these main characters banded together to create some holiday-themed bash at the gym to raise money toward the alleviation of this particular health crisis for others. Because, they're all independently wealthy, so they could just pay for it on their own. There's a separate mini-story that's included with this novella as well, which involves an antagonistic former significant other. It would have been interesting to include him in this story as another point of conflict for the family at large, rather than bury him at the end as an aside. I did not read the novels that go with this holiday-themed novella, and being that there were so many characters, I ended up having to create a spreadsheet for all of the characters that were in this book. It didn't help that there were 4 characters with K-sounding names: Kane, Kieran, Quinn, and Casey. That there was a Kieran and a Kiera didn't help either in trying to keep track of the many-fingered plot. There were also unifying characteristics between the characters that made it difficult to tell them apart without reading the other novels. The oldest son, Rory, viewed his children as the biggest blessings of his life. The second son, Kieran, thinks that having children couldn't make him happier and that marrying his wife was the best moment of his life. For Quinn, the 4th son, marrying his wife was the most beautiful moment of his life. The repetitive nature of these domestic-based interests made it tough to keep track of the characters. It might have been easier had I read the other books, but I have 11 other holiday-themed romances to read, so backtracking to read another saga just to understand this novella just wasn't feasible for me right now. I would certainly consider it though, since the series has an interesting premise, and it is a sports-themed romance, which is, just trust me, they're endearing. When I shared my spreadsheet woes on Twitter, I got a question from a reader/listener. Philippa Dobbs, a budding romance novel writer, wrote, "Hey Karen, how many characters is too many? My novel has 4 main characters and a handful of recurring ones." For me, I like the focus of my romance novels to be on the hero, the heroine, and the cultivation of their relationship. If the focus stays there, I'm good. 4 main characters is by far not the end of the world so long as they are distinguishable from each other with different sounding names or different hobbies. This past week I read a novel called The Daughters of Ireland by Santa Montefiore, which revolved around a handful of women. It was the 2nd book in a trilogy, and I was able to follow it fairly well without reading the 1st book because the women were also markedly different from each other. Overall, Kavanagh Christmas was heartfelt and put me a little closer to being in the holiday spirit. It was good to see what was essentially an extended epilogue to what seemed like a much enjoyed series. If readers have read Robinson's Kavanagh Legends saga, and they want to know more about the family and get some bonus stories along the way, pick up this heartwarming holiday-themed novella. So in episode 2 of this mini-pod series, I'll be picking out another romance novel from my pile. Separately, I'll be checking out Kristen Ritter's debut thriller, Bonfire, because I've heard good things about that. That's it for me, and I'll see you next week.